Hi, Dr. Thom. Thanks for picking me up.
Sure.
When you were talking to Charles Soros, sweet guy, but I think misled, he kept talking about how charter schools and vouchers are the answer to lower-level education. But never does anyone seem to remember that part of Senator Sanders' platform was to put like a 1% tax on the purchase of stock. That just seems to have disappeared from our consciousness. But every day, everything we touch is taxed. The only thing purchased in this country that is never taxed is stock. And if that tax had, if he had won, we would now see a tax on stock that would fund college educations for every child.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. On every stock trade, yes.
Yes.
And it was a quarter of 1%, as I recall, is what he was calling for. I mean, we had this law from World War I until the 1960s. I think 65 was the year that we took it down. We had this excise tax, STET tax they called it, Securities Transaction Excise Tax. I think it's what STET stood for. And it was, I think it might have even been 0.5%. But it raised so much money when they killed it off in the 60s. They killed it off because it was supposed to pay for the Securities and Exchange Commission, one of the reasons why it was put in place in the first place. And, it was generating so much extra money that I guess the Republicans said, we don't need this. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And that would be a great way to do it. Norma, thank you for the call, and thanks for reminding me of that. That's a good one. Carlene in Jersey City, New Jersey. Am I saying your name right?
You are, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you for calling. Thanks for listening to Sirius XM. What's up?
Yeah, it's my pleasure, and thanks for taking my call. Tom, I've been thinking a lot about, the forgotten American. And whenever we think about the forgotten American, we're thinking of people, that are the underserved. And I'm a single 56-year-old woman. I do not own property. I don't have children. When I get my paycheck every week, a third of my paycheck is taken out in taxes. So when I see news reports of our politicians like Ryan Zinke or Ben Carson or Kellyanne Conway or even Donald Trump spending $130 million in taxes to fly to Mar-a-Lago using our money, I get really infuriated.
Especially since they're all rich.
They're all rich. And, I make a good salary, don't get me wrong. But after taxes, I might as well be making nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so, I have been thinking about this a lot. And I wanted to ask you if you know of a case or have ever heard of a case where there's been a class action. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I've been thinking about it a lot, like a class action lawsuit against the government for misusing the people's money. It is our money. It is our government. They work for us. Right. And I don't mind, as a single person who has no children, paying for schools, paying for infrastructure, paying for things that will make this company great. I cried the day that he was put into office because I knew things were just going to spiral down. But now I'm just angry. I'm angry about what they're getting away with and how they're profiting in the White House. So I don't know if there's ever been any kind of cases, any kind of civil lawsuits or anything like that. But, it's coming around tax time, and I completely do not want to pay my taxes.
Yeah, I get what you're saying and empathize totally, Carlene. There's this thing called sovereign immunity. You can't sue the government. However, there is a mechanism for reacting to these kinds of abuses, and it's called the election. And I think that what we saw in Pennsylvania yesterday, where you had a district that went 21 points for Trump, it went more than 20 points for Mitt Romney. For two out of the last 4 or 5 elections, the Democratic Party didn't even bother putting a candidate up in that district, and Conor Lamb won. And I don't think it's just because people think that Trump is evil or they're horrified by Stormy Daniels or they think he's in the bag with Putin or whatever it may be. I think it's that they're sick and tired of the whole damn Republican Party behaving like a RICO organization and, being only interested in the interests of the billionaires, the corporations, and themselves. And I think the outrage that you are expressing, Carlene, is broadly shared across the United States, regardless of party. And, it's a good thing that people are waking up. And what we need to do is, we can't translate it into a lawsuit. I understand your sentiment. but we can translate it into action at the polling places. So the step to do.
Right, and I do my good share, not to interrupt you, but I do my good share of activism, and I'm very involved. I'm also, a gay American. I'm a lesbian. Mm-hmm. And so when I see the rollbacks in civil rights, not just for gay and lesbian people, but just in civil rights in general and the EPA and everything, I mean, it just adds more salt to the wound.
Yeah. I absolutely understand, and I'm totally with you. Carlene, I got to move along, but thank you for the call. Robert in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Hey, Robert, what's up?
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. I've been listening to you quite a bit, and I've learned an awful lot. And you touched on many, many points of the complex issues that we have, and I doubt I can get it all in, but I'd like to send you an email to itemize it and get some kind of acknowledgement that you heard me. But let me just jump into it a little bit. You've talked about the billionaires' lack of empathy. There's a very clear reason for that, and that is because they have lived sheltered lives, most of them, and they have never experienced struggle and pain that we little people experience. We're communal by nature, and we rely on everybody around us. The billionaires, they strictly extract the benefits and put nothing into it. They don't see a need to. They use our tax money. They use our court systems, our politicians, our law enforcement to protect their wealth. They preach to us to invest in the stock market, saying we should not be owning our homes. We need to use other people's money and invest. And it's like the definition of insanity, Einstein's definition. We little people, we're the other people. They're using our money. When we have our life savings invested in there, they yank the rug out from under us, and then we come right back and put our money in there again. I think that they are just taking and taking, and
I think we need to separate these issues, Robert. Home ownership and participation in the stock markets are ways that people build wealth. Home ownership in particular is how most middle-class wealth in the United States has been built. That said, you're right. We're being constantly scammed and conned by the morbidly rich, and we need to do something about it. And I think that, frankly, we are. As I said to the caller before that, it's at the ballot box. It's get out there, get active, tag your it, get politically active. I mean, that's what we have to do. Our earlier caller who said that she's going to become a precinct committee person. It's like, that is so cool. I mean, having real power. And you can just walk in and volunteer in most places and yes, please. So anyhow, we'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. Get out there, get active, tag your it. Have a great afternoon.